Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 12, text number 28. Maitre Uvacha Nishamya Vaikunta Niyojya Mukyayor Madhuchutam Tvacham Urukrama Priyaha Kritabhishekaha Krita Nitya Mangalo Munin Pranamai Shisham Abhyavadayat. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. The great sage Maitreya continued, Maharaj Dhruva was very dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he heard the sweet speeches of the Lord's chief associates in Vaikuntha planet, he immediately took his sacred bath, dressed himself with suitable ornaments, and performed his daily spiritual duties. Thereafter he offered his respectful obeisances to the great sages present there and accepted their blessings. Purport. We should mark how dutiful Dhruva Maharaj was in his devotion service, even at the time he left this material world. He was constantly alert in the performance of devotional duties. Every devotee should take his bath early in the morning, decorate his body with tilaka. In Kali Yuga, one can hardly acquire gold or jeweled ornaments, but the 12 tilaka marks on the body are sufficient as auspicious decorations to purify the body. Since Dhruva Maharaj was living at that time at Badrikashrama, there were other great sages there. He did not become puffed up because the airplane sent by Lord Vishnu was waiting for him. As a humble Vaishnava, he accepted blessings from all the sages before riding on the plane brought by the chief of the Vaikuntha associates. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So it's stated here that Dhruva Maharaj, even though the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom he had worshipped, sent his associates with the airplane to take him, Dhruva Maharaj did not neglect even his last duties. It simply means that Dhruva Maharaj body was completely purified. It is not that it said that he went and took bath, dressed himself in all ornaments, did all his spiritual duties and then got into the plane. So he didn't have a change of body going from this planet to Dhruvaloka. Now, therefore, we can conclude that Dhruva Maharaj's body was completely transcendental, completely purified, and therefore with the same body he could go to Dhruvaloka, which is almost like Vishnu Loka. The eternal planet within the material world, which we discussed yesterday in the yesterday's verse, where Kshirodakshaya Vishnu resides, maintaining this entire creation. So, the question arises, the appropriate subject that could be discussed is about the living entity, his consciousness and his body. There are three things. If you see, if we observe our own body, we have a gross body and a subtle body. Then we have consciousness, which is called Chittam. And then there is the soul. Now this structure of Jiva, of course, Jiva is Kshetrajna, is Brahman, and the energy of the Jiva is consciousness. That keeps coming eternally. So we take for granted, we don't question it, but it is the energy of the Jiva. Sunlight and heat. Sunlight is the energy of the sun. Similarly, the Jiva Shakti's energy is consciousness. And with this consciousness, that consciousness can be simply existence. I exist, Aham Brahmasmi. As the Mayavadis say, or the Brahmavadis say, that the mistake they make is that they say that is the end of Jiva. That's the end realization of Jiva, that I am pure existence with no identity. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi, Tvam Brahmasmi, everybody is Brahmasmi. So when one realizes Aham Brahmasmi, then Aham is gone. For the sake of moving from this Aham to the infinite Brahman, I may use the word for meditation, Aham Brahmasmi, but that Aham vanishes. Personality vanishes. There's only pure consciousness. They accept Jiva Shakti as consciousness, the pure consciousness. It's called Nirguna Brahman. Vaishnava philosophy, we're trying to understand what is the Jiva, nature of Jiva. The nature of Jiva, according to Bhagavata philosophy, according to Bhagavad Gita, it is a person. One aspect of the person is his existence. Then with his energies, which is consciousness, his consciousness need not be impersonal, mere awareness. It is personal consciousness. It is consciousness of a person. Each Brahman is a living entity. And it is not difficult to understand that, because in reality we are all living like persons. So my energy, my consciousness energy, can either be Shuddha, pure, or it can be Ashuddha, which is means contaminated consciousness. Shuddha Chitta and Ashuddha Chitta. Now, in the material world, we have made a choice of Ashuddha Chitta. What is the basis of Ashuddha Chittam or contaminated consciousness? Is false ego. What is the root false ego? Independent existence and enjoying attitude is a root false ego. To manifest that independent existence and attitude of independent enjoyment, you take on a secondary false ego of a material body to give expression to your conscious intent to exist independent of God and to pursue your deepest thirst for Satta Chitta and Ananda independently. That is Chittam, contaminated consciousness. According to nature of your Chittam, according to nature of your consciousness, consciousness is the energy coming from the Jiva. Just like we should never imagine Jiva is something, what is Jiva? Or something like this, something like this. We tend to think, what is Kartal? Something, okay, I know what is Kartal, I know phone, I know what is table. No, the moment you ask about what is Jiva, it is like a sun with sunlight. It's a particle of light, particle of Krishna's existence, energy. Just like God is a person and God has got energies, we are also individuals, we have got energies. And that energy is consciousness. And that consciousness has got the potency to, it has got a potential to create a pure consciousness of pleasing Krishna always. Pure consciousness of acting as constitutionally subordinate part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Alternatively, it has got the free will to have independent existence and knowledge, love, pleasure, everything. That is how we contact this Chittam or contaminated consciousness. Bhagavatam says contaminated consciousness is the first covering over the soul. And that consciousness and the Krishna consciousness cannot go together. So Krishna consciousness is completely covered. Krishna consciousness goes into covered means it's like when you go to sleep, you forget your outside consciousness. In the same way, when we forget our true consciousness as a servant of Krishna, it's just forgetfulness. That consciousness is always there as our potency. Just like how even in this Chittam also, this facility is easily there. Suddenly you will forget one situation and take another situation. You will blank out from this situation, go into other situation. So in the same way, our original Chittam, Shuddha Chitta, we move away from that and then get attracted by this false Chittam on the movie screen. Just like I can live in my real world, or I can focus my consciousness on the movie screen and can forget existing in this world and mentally start existing in that world. So, this chittam that is covering us, that is the cause for forgetfulness of Krishna, headed by false ego, attitude first, then false ego personality, then false ego relationship, aham and mama, false aham, false mama. And once we create false aham and mama, we have populated our mental world with people of material bodies. And this way, the entire material existence under the bodily concept of life goes on. And it's all completely governed by, the chittam is completely governed by the laws of karma. At the end of the life, as per your karma, again, your chittam takes you to next body, along with the subtle body. Chittam is nothing but a deposited subtle body. There are only two bodies, gross body and subtle body. Part of subtle body is chittam. Manas, buddhi, ahankara. The active manas, active buddhi, you can see mind acting. That if you call as mind, then there is a subconscious mind, that is chittam. So subconscious mind also has got mind, intelligence and ego. And my subtle body has also got mind, intelligence and ego. So you can say that the chittam is a stock of all my experiential memories of using my mind, intelligence and ego. They act together, the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. Subconscious mind, subconscious intelligence, subconscious ego. Acts through conscious mind, conscious ego, conscious intelligence. Even modern psychology does not have this differentiation. So now what is relevant is Dhruva Maharaj, by his sadhana, by his sadachara, daily habits, good habits, he has awakened his Shuddha Chitta. Several places Prabhupada says, when we are completely purified, we dissolve our subtle body. In fact, one should dissolve one's subtle body. Then that living entity's new subtle body is a Shuddha Chitta. Whereas this subtle body is Maya's subtle body. Whereas the Shuddha Chitta is a real subtle body coming out of the consciousness of the living entity. I told you consciousness is something fundamental. Soul means with this energy of consciousness. Buddhism says consciousness itself is an illusion. Mayavadis accept consciousness, but they limit it to only existence, not knowledge and bliss. The moment any knowledge and bliss, then it is in the Maya Prapancha. Buddhists say there is no consciousness. Consciousness is just a result of permutation, combination of gross and subtle material energy. So therefore they are called Shunyavadi. There is nothing called spirit. Mayavadis say there is Nirguna Brahman. Vaishnava says, no, right, we are Brahman. We have not simply Nirguna consciousness. We have got our consciousness can create, can form a Shuddha Chitta. And based on that Shuddha Chitta, in the spiritual world, I can get a siddha deha, a transcendental body. Just like here, my chittam, my subtle body earns me, according to my karma, a particular type of body. Yam vapi smaran bhavam tajate antakalevaram. On that principle, one's consciousness attracts from the external energy of the Lord our body. That's why we are having this body, our karma. According to our karma, we have got different types. Each of us are getting different bodies. And that karma is operating where? On the subtle body. Subtle laws. From the material nature, it attracts what kind of body you should have, what kind of intelligence you should have in this life, what kind of looks you should have, what kind of, all those things are coming from one's karma, one's consciousness. If one's consciousness is cultivated very nicely, sattvic guna, then you will get a sattvic body. If your consciousness at the time of death is a tamasic consciousness, then you become a tamasic body you get. Daivanetrena, these are all by divine arrangement it is happening. Just like when a stone drop, it will fall down to the ground. Law of gravity acts. In the same way, automatically this is going on. Death and birth is very much part of the material phenomena. Somehow we see when somebody dies, oh, it's very mysterious, where he went. But that is not spiritual. Something I do not know, anything and everything that I do not know must be spiritual. No. So it is happening every day, every moment it is happening in the material world. Millions of living entities are being born in different bodies. Millions of them are dying. Same thing will happen to us also. So understanding self means me and my ability to create the Shuddha Chitta. The whole sadhana bhakti is actually to create a Shuddha Chitta, to purify my consciousness through the process of devotional service. A Shuddha Chitta, a pure consciousness who wants to please Krishna in pure devotional service. How does that happen? By purifying the present Chittam. Very important. Because Shuddha Chitta is existing in us. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Shuddha Chitta is awakened. My Shuddha Chitta is awakened. So to awaken my Shuddha Chitta, my present Chittam should become a pure Vaishnava. When it becomes a pure Vaishnava, then that will awaken my Shuddha Chitta. And when Shuddha Chitta is awakened, even this material body is completely spiritualized. Just like a pure devotee's body, Srila Prabhupada's body, it is completely spiritualized because there is no triguna or freedom from all material influences. Liberated, Jivan Mukta. So Prabhupada's body is driven by his Shuddha Chitta, awakened Shuddha Chitta, as a pure devotee engaging in pure devotional service. Sadhaka is also maintaining his present chittam as a pure devotee. And when Shuddha Chitta, when that practice awakens my Shuddha Chitta, my present Chitta dissolves. Subtle body is dissolved. So one can live in a gross body in this world also with a pure Shuddha Chitta. So Dhruva Maharaj definitely purified his consciousness. Having purified his consciousness, his pure consciousness of being the eternal servant of Krishna is awakened. Having awakened, it does not matter. In the same body, he continued his own, what yesterday he was doing, bathing, purifying, all those things. Today, he sees the Vaikuntha, from Vishnu Loka, the Vishnu Dutas have come. It did not make any difference because for him it had everything that he was doing had attained an eternal status. Activity of a Shuddha Chitta. So bathing, decorating the body with tilak, everything is completely, there is nothing like matter in his consciousness. The consciousness of a pure devotee, there is nothing like matter. Okay, temporarily, now I am in this role play. Prabhupada's eternal form in the spiritual world is not this form. But the living entity has got all those mystic things. How to remain in the spiritual body at the same time, how to do a role play in this material world. In another body. And Prabhupada did his pure activities in this particular rupa, in this particular form. Therefore, we are worshipping that form. Why are we worshipping that form? Because these are this form of Prabhupada is part of the spiritual existence. A liberated living entity can have so many forms in service of the Lord. Let's say if Prabhupada is in some Surupa in the spiritual world, he can be there and in service of the Lord, he is there in this material world to pick up the living entities in this form. Especially now in the form of the deities. And before 1977, he was in the form. Only difference is this Panchaloha, that is Panchabhuta. That is a walking deity and this is a static deity. Prabhupada is equally available, equally here, with his mission to preach Krishna consciousness. And that is how we are seeing the Shakti. We are all able to do so much. If Prabhupada was not here and guiding us, how it is possible to have this kind of a consciousness, this kind of a movement developing, preaching developing, all those things. So these personalities, like Narada Rishi, like Srila Prabhupada, they should be viewed as awakened their Shuddha Chitta, pure consciousness. Of course, a Nitya Siddha, no need to awaken. He was always awake. And a Siddha, Nitya Siddha never forgets Krishna. Prabhupada has told, I have never forgotten Krishna in my life. After describing what is Nitya Siddha in a purport, in the end he adds one line, I have never forgotten Krishna. Basically, Prabhupada is revealing that he is a Nitya Siddha. Come down into this material world. In this particular body, in this particular life. If he is eternally preaching in this world, so many bodies he would have taken. And always, all those bodies are driven by his Shuddha Chitta, not by contaminated consciousness. So this is the important thing that we can deduce from this, that because he did not find any difference as far as he is concerned between this body and spiritual body, he just said, that's all okay. Vaikuntha plane has come. Wait a minute, let me finish my bath and let me do my japa and all those things. And also another thing, taking all the blessings of all the sadhus who are there. And then he gets into it. They are already liberated consciousness. It didn't make much difference to Dhruva Maharaj in his awakened consciousness. Any question? So, one thing I told about, whenever we think about the self, one should understand that I am a person and with the energy of consciousness. That energy of consciousness takes the form of Shuddha Chitta. Or it forgets, and that energy of consciousness misidentifies with the contaminated consciousness. And then he gets a subtle body and a gross body. Manas, an active manas, buddhi and ahankara, and a body that is, an outward body that is suitable to, because I cannot see your mind, I cannot see your intelligence, but I can see your body. So body is the one through which my subtle body's expression is coming out, gross body. In the same way, like Narada Rishi, he got a change of body. It is described. He was awarded a spiritual body, though it looked like this body. He was awarded a spiritual body. So there is Prabhupada explains outward spiritual body, and the Shuddha Chitta is an inward spiritual body. So in a way, when we are persons in the spiritual world, there also we have got a subtle body. That subtle body is my own body, a Shuddha Chitta. And Shuddha Deha is given by the internal energy of the Lord. Like external energy of the Lord is giving us all different kinds of gross body according to our subtle body. In the spiritual world, Chinmaya Sharira. And Prabhupada says this gross body is dead matter. But that is spiritual energy, Chinmaya body. So there is no duality in the inward and outward body in the spiritual world. In our perfected state, in our constitutional state, in original state, there is no difference. Here, this is not Chinmaya, this decays. The soul doesn't decay. Soul is eternal, this is temporary. Whereas in the spiritual world, the body does not decay, the body is not temporary, does not die. It is eternally serving the soul. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I have a query on here Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha. Srila Prabhupada is a Nitya Siddha. And Dhruva Maharaj is a Sadhana Siddha. Once I had heard this statement, within our Sampradaya, prior to, after Brahmanya Tirtha,
prior to?
No, after the Brahmanya Tirtha, there is Vyasaraya Tirtha. So Vyasaraya Tirtha gets, Siksha from Sri Padaraja Tirtha. So Sri Padaraja Tirtha is to be considered as an incarnation of Dhruva Maharaj. And Vyasaraya Tirtha is considered as an incarnation of Prahalad in the Madhva tradition. In our Gaudiya lineage, after Brahmanya Tirtha is... After Brahmanya Tirtha, we don't consider Padaraja Tirtha as the Guru of Vyasaraya Tirtha.
As the?
as the guru of Vyasaraya Tirtha, we don't consider. After Brahmana Tirtha, directly comes Vyasaraya Tirtha. So the question here is, a person reaches the Suddha Chittam, okay, is there still a difference between a Sadhana Siddha and Nitya Siddha? Is it that,
no difference, no difference.
I mean, to act as a spiritual master, to act as a spiritual master, is there any difference between a Nitya Siddha and a Sadhana Siddha?
Now, Prabhupada says that when you attain liberation in a Vaishnava sense, then there is no difference between Nitya Siddha and Sadhana Siddha. Siddha is Siddha. So there is no difference. Any other question?
Hare Krishna.
Specifically, that is clarified in several places by Prabhupada. Nitya Baddha, when he becomes also Nitya Siddha. Yes.
You mentioned that soul is made up of energy of consciousness.
No, I didn't say that.
So this energy of...
Soul's energy is consciousness.
Soul's energy is consciousness.
No.
And then this consciousness adopts, in this material world, false chittam.
Yeah.
And this false chittam means we have this body, gross body and subtle body here. Like in the spiritual world, when we attain siddha deha, so there also we have a gross body and subtle body.
Don't use the same word there.
So what is
Shuddha Chitta attracts an outward spiritual body. Gross and subtle you don't use. Prabhupada uses the word outward spiritual body.
So in the spiritual world, are there this, just like here we have this Panch Bhutas, earth, water, air, fire and ether. That is the Bahaya Shakti of the Lord, Bahaya, external energy. So is there like a spiritual world also?
There is a statement in Chaitanya Charitamrita. The spiritual world is made up of spiritual earth, water, fire, air, ether. So similarly, my body, spiritual body is made up of spiritual earth, water, fire, air, ether. Chinmaya. May be surprising to you. But there is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which says so. Outward world is manifested by these 5 elements. This material world is this earth, water, fire, air, ether is a perverted reflection. Okay, it has to duplicate that world. If I can see a beautiful waterfall in this material world, can I not see that in the spiritual world? Oh, water नहीं होगा. इधर का water bogus water है. Oh, real water, that is real water, that is real earth. The land on which you walk in the spiritual world is a real world, real earth. So these are all some of the very deep contributions of Lord Chaitanya's philosophy. Mayavadis cannot even think of this. Eternal earth, water, fire. And that is manifested by Sandhini Shakti of the Lord. Sandhini Shakti, Samvit Shakti and Hladini Shakti. So Sandhini Shakti is what creates the earth in the spiritual world, creates bodies in the spiritual world, etc. Krishna's own Sanjani Shakti manifests as his body, his outward body. We are samples of God. Advaitam Achyudam Anadim Ananta Rupam. When he takes Ananta Rupa, those bodies, transcendental bodies. One should not think transcendental body means, it is not Jada body. Therefore, if I put my finger in, it will go through. That is Bhoot body. Any other question? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. So from scripture, we can understand that dreaming is an activity of the subtle body. And
Training?
Dreaming. When we dream.
Dream.
Dream is an activity of the subtle body. The subtle body travels out and goes somewhere. So when someone is having dreams, but they're Krishna conscious dreams, or they're related to Krishna, what does that mean for the subtle body?
What?
When someone is having dreams, but
Correct.
the dreams are Krishna conscious.
Krishna conscious dreams.
What does that mean for the subtle body?
Yeah, whatever super soul wants you to understand out of that, that is what it means. The Lord is in our heart. Dreams are directly under the control of the super soul. He is managing. Every karmi's dream also. They are managing their, their karma. So many things, that's why in dream also we have experience. So Sukha Dukkha is not only gross. Sukha Dukkha, gross pain, even subtle pain, not only in waking state. Karma is operative even when you are sleeping. Even when you are sleeping, karma is operative. So in the midst of that dream, the Lord will reveal something. Dreams have a meaning. If Krishna is there, you see Guru. But you have to confirm with Sadhu and Shastra. Just like one devotee told, I had a dream, Prabhupada said, go ahead and eat meat. Prabhupada came in my dream. He said, go eat meat. So it is concoction. Yes, Prabhupada came in the dream is true. There also you cannot stop concoction. So your mind came and got permission from Prabhupada to eat meat. And you saw the dream. So the part of Prabhupada, this transcendental form you saw is very auspicious. But then you concocted it. You are mixing the dream with you because there is a dream force also. Your perverted desires and all these things. So you got a rubber stamp from Prabhupada. Came in the dream. So every dream, Prabhupada, Krishna is very auspicious. But its interpretation has to be in line with Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. It should not contradict Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And it is a way the Lord also reciprocates with the sincerity of the devotee. Often many of your bad karmas are burnt away in dream by Krishna's arrangement. Some terrifying dream and all those things come. So the super soul is, in real life you don't have to go through this. Now go through this fear in this life, in the dream, and your karma is burnt. Because if Prabhupada, Krishna leaves that dream, it will disturb my service. So sometimes when we get bad dreams, we worry, why? Imagine the same thing happening in real life. So you should think like that. I have been spared of all this. So nice, lying on the bed, my karma is gone. Grandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.